Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshunamilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaye Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Pravajantam Anupetya Apeta Krityam Tapaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tan Mayataya Taravo Binedus Tam Sarvabhutam Hridayam Munimanatosmi Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jayamudирayat Abhaktya Vihina Pararalakshay Kiptaschakamari Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapanna Vrinde Namaste Charanara Vindam Tavevasmi Najivami Tvayavina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayanam Charanandike Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So, we're going to continue hearing about Radha Tattva, Radha Lila, and today something special about how Mahaprabhu experiences these moods. We're going to first offer our most humble obeisance under the lotus feet of our beloved Gurus, unto Sri Guru Pada Padma Nitya Leda Bhavishta Om Vishnu Pada Asta Tarsata Sri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and Sri Guru Pada Padma Nitya Leda Bhavishta Om Vishnu Pada Asta Tarsat Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, under our exalted Rupanuga Guru Varga and all these Samo Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. So yesterday we were hearing about three manifestations of Radhika. Radhika in her eternal lila with Sri Krishna in Vrindavan, right? Vrishabhanu Nandini. And the speciality of that, well, one speciality was that there's no real prolonged separation. There is some separation due to their lila, some pastimes. Perhaps some man will create some distance between them. Sometimes Krishna's out cow herding and they have not had an opportunity to meet. Small things like that. He's going home. He's got some affairs in the house to attend to. She's at her house. But basically, they are together at Nashanta Lila. They're together all night. And then they wake up together. Then they have to separate for some time. And then when Krishna goes out cow herding, there's an opportunity to meet again for the middle of the day. And then Krishna goes home. And then they meet again in the evening. And we also heard about the eightfold pastimes of the day, Krishna's different pastimes with Radhika at different times of the day. And then we heard about, that's Vrishabhanu Nandini. And then we heard about Viyogini Radhika, when Krishna is in prolonged separation, like after he left. And that kind of separation is pravas. It's very long. He went to Dwarka. And she's still in Vrindavan at different places, like Uddhav Kyari, where Uddhava saw her in that profound state. And then there's some Yogini Radhika, special manifestation, that does leave Vrindavan and goes to Kurukshetra and meets Krishna there. Anyway, just brief recap. Now we're going to hear about, and he made the point over and over, the original Krishna, he never leaves Vrindavan. Never leaves Vrindavan. And Baladev never leaves Vrindavan. Remember the past time when Akrura finally came to take them to Mathura, to, in a sense, reunite with their parents, Vasudeva and Devaki. Well, at that time, the original Krishna and Balaram stayed in Vrindavan, and their expansions, Sankarshan and Vasudeva Krishna, went with Akrura. When Akrura bathed in the water, Akrura got, he saw on the chariot were two Krishna and Balarams, and then in the water he saw two Krishna Balarams. Very amazing vision, and that's a hint about actually what took place. Now, how does this all affect Mahaprabhu? Because Mahaprabhu, he is Krishna, but he's Krishna who has taken on the mood, the complexion, the self-identification. Internally, he feels like he is Radhika, right? So, Chaitanya Charitamrita says Radha and Krishna are one, but they have separated eternally for the purpose of pastimes. Now these two have reunited again as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that's very difficult for us to understand because he's still Krishna, and Radhika is appearing as Gadadhar Pandit, so they're still separate in their own identities. Internally, Gadadhar Pandit knows he's Radhika also. Mahaprabhu also sometimes identifies as Krishna or different avatars according to the necessity of the lila, but he's also mostly come, and this is his later pastimes, to taste fully the sentiments of Radhika. So, then Srila Narayana Maharaj begins by saying, now I want to come to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. I have explained Radharani and I have given examples. So now you will be able to understand the nature of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, who took the beauty and mood of Radhika. In other words, in taking her beauty and mood, Krishna came in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Shachinandana Gaudahari. For this reason, there are also three aspects of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu is always in Navadvip, always. He never leaves. This is why Navadvip is called Vrindavan. They're non-different. They overlap. They're different in lila, but at the same time that lila, it has a connection with Krishna Lila in Vrindavan. Let's see what is said. In Navadvip, there are 9 islands, which contain the 12 forests of Braj. Vrindavan, Madhuvan, Talavan, Komudavan, Bahulavan, Kamyavan, Kadiravan, Bhadravan, Bandiravan, Bilvavan, Mahavan, and Lohavan. Besides this, the 12 Upavanas, the subforests, and 12 Harivanas are also present. These 36 vanas, or forests, are present in Navadvip. In Navadvip, however, these forests are not situated in the same order as in Vrindavan. Some are here, some are there. Vrindavan, Komudavan, Madhuvan, Talavan, and so on are situated differently than they are in Braj. Mayapur, for example, is a combination of Gokul and Mathura, where Krishna took birth and appeared. So Mahaprabhu doesn't take birth in 2 different places. He takes birth in Gokul, but it's that Yogpit, that Janmastali represents both Mathura and the place of Devaki and Vasudeva and Vrindavan, where Krishna took birth in the house of Nanda. So, and Govardhan Hill is in Koladweep, where our Devananda Gaudiya Math is situated. Koladweep also, Mata Bhaktirekshak Sridhar Maharaj is there. Modern day Navadvip is also there. The original Navadvip is across the river on the Mayapur side. Govardhan Hill is in Koladweep, where Devananda Gaudiya Mata is situated. There, the Rasa Stali, a place of Rasa Lila dance, is located in the lap of Govardhan. Rasa Lila is so high class. So there is a very important Rasa Stali at Govardhan, right? The Chandra Sarovar, where we go. Very special place where the springtime Rasa dance took place. So, Radhakund is in Ruktadweep, and Bandiravan is present in Modradrumadweep, which is on the other side of the Ganga. In this way, all the forests are there. None of these forests are in Puri, and therefore it is Navadweep which is non-different from Vrindavan. All of Mahaprabhu's eternal pastimes in the 8 divisions of the day, the 8 praharas, are in Navadweep, and he never leaves there. So why do some people think that Puri is non-different from Vrindavan, even though they're nowhere is it stated in Scripture, and nowhere among our acharyas? But Mahaprabhu, when he was in Puri, many things would remind him of being in Vrindavan. Sometimes he'd see a very high sand dune and be reminded of Govardhan. He'd see the ocean and think of the Jamuna. And because he was so internally absorbed himself in thoughts of Vrindavan, many different places were like udipans, or stimulus for his internal vision and thoughts. Another reason that Navadvip is non-different from Vrindavan is that during Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, in the very early morning, he remembers the Nishanta pastimes of Radha and Krishna and weeps. See, this is why we have different functions, different parts of the day. Right now, we're just doing sadhan bhajan, and there's no specific realization of the order or the kram, But when one enters into mature bhav bhakti, one is meditating internally on one's own siddha deha, as one's internally conceived perfected form, and throughout the day one is remembering the pastimes of Radha and Krishna as they happen in sequence. Right? So in the morning, you're automatically thinking of Radha and Krishna in Nishanta Lila. And then as Gurudev is going to give the sequence, what Mahaprabhu did. Right? However, don't think that you can do that right away. I mean, no harm. Oh, this is the time when this pastime's taking place. Yes, that's good. And in Bhav Bhakti, it's very important to maintain that sequence of meditation. But at our stage, any remembrance is good, and so we should encourage all of that. But it's especially helpful, like when we're in Mangal Artik, like this morning. Oh wait, nobody was here this morning. Just Vinod and our Pujari. It was so lonely because we came to serve Radha and Krishna and there was no one else to help. Anyway, Nishanta Lila, very, very amazing. This is the beginning of the day. But actually, in one sense, for us, our Sadhana Bhakti, when does Mangal Artik start? Starts the night before. That if you take rest on time and don't eat a lot, then you'll be able to get up. But if you stay up late and you eat a lot at night, it's going to be even more difficult. I know it's difficult to get up. Every morning, sometimes the alarm doesn't wake me up. Sometimes I wake up. Even then, I'm stubborn. But sometimes the alarm goes, and I want to break the clock. I want to break the phone. And I just want to immerse myself in beautiful Tamagun, right? But Srila Prabhupada drilled it into us how important this is. And there's so many stories of him emphasizing this for his devotees. And when you see an old ISKCON devotee, man or woman, they're always going to be there at Mangal Artik, unless they're sick or ill or really infirm. It's just ingrained in them. Wherever I go, if there's Prabhupada disciples, they're there, right? It's a habit. You have to train yourself, though. You have to believe that it's important. And you have to surrender your own well, it actually is your self-interest. You have to surrender your misconception that you're this body and just force it to get up. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada said, like, beat your mind with a broom, 100 times in the morning. Otherwise, it will control you in every way. So, in the very early morning, one time I was in Alachua at our little temple there, and one very new devotee lady asked me, how can she remember Krishna? What should she study or do? I said, read Krishna book. So many beautiful stories are there, presented so nicely. Just read Krishna book and remember pastimes throughout the day. And then one other devotee, who's not a Prabhupada disciple, but she was with Gurudev from the very early, she objected. She said, well, we should be meditating not even on Naimiktic. Krishna book has so much Naimiktic lila. In other words, lila like in Dwarka, killing demons, all of these things. I only meditate on the Nitya lila, right? I don't meditate on any of these, and I meditate on them in order throughout the day. Why are you telling her to read Krishna book? Well, you give instructions according to the eligibility of the person. It would be impossible for a new person to meditate like that. First of all, they don't know the pastimes throughout the day. They don't know anything. Krishna book is a beautiful introduction. It's complete. It's the 10th canto filled with not only the stories presented in a very lyrical narrative by Srila Prabhupada, but also he weaves in all the important philosophical understanding that we have to have with that purport. Somebody in Bhav Bhakti, they're not contemplating Radha Tattva and Krishna Tattva. They are contemplating the pastime. They're immersed in the deep moods of the pastime. But for us, understanding the philosophical foundation is absolutely important so that our faith and our determination to practice sadhana bhakti is there. The resolve is there. Study of scripture, Srila Prabhupada stressed this all the time, reading books. So many videos you can see of someone asking a question and Srila Prabhupada saying, oh, you've not read Bhagavad Gita? Right? All this is there. He did that to me. That's another story. I've told it a few times. But the only time I ever got to speak with Srila Prabhupada directly, that was the message. If you don't read my books and you speak, you're a cheater. And you can cheat others, but you can't cheat me. It was pretty difficult to be called a cheater in front of 150 people. But it's true, right? And the message is for me and it's for everybody, right? So I'm passing it on. So after Nishanta Lila, Mahaprabhu is meditating on these pastimes of Radha and Krishna and weeping. Then a little later in the morning, about 6 in the morning till 8:30 a.m., during Prata Lila, the pastimes, just at dawn and after, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu meditates on the pastimes of Krishna and Radha that take place at that time. Radha is in Javat and Krishna is in Nandagan, and they're taking bath. Mahaprabhu is always meditating on these pastimes and weeping. I think then Radhika is going from her place in Javat with her friends at the request of Mother Jashoda, and she arrives in Nandagan and she's going to cook for Krishna. She helps cook breakfast. Right? And then sometimes it's a little chance for Krishna and Radhika to meet in a room, unbeknownst to others, Krishna and Radha and different gopis. Then there is, where am I? This print is so small. Then in Purvana Lila, morning pastimes, Mahaprabhu is meditating on the pastimes that take place then, in which Krishna goes cow herding. That's when he starts his cow herding. Mahaprabhu's whole life goes on in this way. In Shwetadweep, Goloka Vrindavan, these leelas are eternally present. Here, in the Navadweep that is manifest in this world, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lila is called prakat. And there in the spiritual world, it is called aprakat. There, he does not have to go to Puri or South India or anywhere else. He is simply playing in his eightfold daily pastimes, asta, kaliya, lila. In aprakat lila in Shwetadweep, he does not perform his sannyas lila. There is only an idea of it. And here in Navadweep, in this world, this idea takes tangible form. So that's interesting because we don't hear a lot of detail about Shwetadweep in Goloka Vrindavan. But here it's indicated that what Mahaprabhu does in Shwetadweep is what he does pretty much once he's gone to Gaya and taken initiation from Ishwar Puri, he comes back to Navadweep, and there he manifests his devotional sentiments. And this is before he shows himself as Yuga Avatar, right? He's just now Nimai, the great devotee of Radha and Krishna, and internally with the sentiments of Radhika. And throughout the day, and their descriptions, Chaitanya Bhagavat especially, so many descriptions of that lila, right? And even after he shows himself as Yuga Avatar, he switches back and forth. Sometimes for the purpose of, the dual purpose of his lila, to spread the Yuga Dharma, he will assume that mood. But other times he will go deeply internal into the mood of the devotee. And when he's the devotee, he feels himself to be the humble servant of all the Vaishnavas there. He's touching their feet, he's washing their cloth, carrying their laundry, doing so many things. He's so humble and the servant of all the Vaishnavas. But when he becomes the avatar, then he takes on that role as Mahaprabhu. And all are worshiping him. And there's some reference there, it's Dasya Ras. When we serve Mahaprabhu, we're serving in Dasya, right? Dasya. But if you serve him and understand these two aspects of his lila, you understand in what way we're ultimately trying to enter into pastimes with him, right? We want to be in Navadweep. And scholarly pastimes, that's also naimistic. However, it's very sweet, just like Krishna's childhood. That's naimistic lila. It's not manifest in the apricot spiritual realm that he's younger, but it's no less relishable and sweet. That's why there are two abodes, so that infinite variety of lila can be experienced by the Lord. So, just as Krishna never leaves Vrindavan, Mahaprabhu never leaves Navadweep. So, Mahaprabhu's whole life goes on in this way. In Shwetadweep, Goloka Vrindavan, these leelas are eternally present. Here in Navadweep, the Navadweep that is manifest in this world, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lila is called prakat, and there in the spiritual world it is called aprakat. There he does not have to go to Puri or South India or anywhere else. He is simply playing in his eightfold daily pastimes, his own asta, kaliya, lila. In aprakat lila, in Shwetadweep, he does not perform his sannyas lila. There is only an idea of it. And here in Navadweep, in this world, this idea takes a tangible form. Right, let me check one thing here. Make sure this is, okay. On one hand, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes sannyas, but on the other hand, he cannot leave Navadweep. just as Krishna can never leave Vrindavan. So who goes to Puri? A manifestation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu only goes there. And takes sannyas. Sannyas is not part of his Nitya Lila. Do you understand? Srila Narayan Maharaj asked. It is like Naimiktik Lila, his occasional pastimes enacted in this world. I remember sometimes on morning walks, Srila Narayan Maharaj would talk about a pastime and say, is this Nitya or Naimiktik? Just to test our understanding of the concept. Right? So, Naimiktik are those pastimes that take place in this world that don't exist in the spiritual world. Right? The conception of them does, but so anything before Mahaprabhu attains his full blooming youth, right? His Navakishore, beautiful form, just like Krishna. That's Naimiktik Lila. His birth, his childhood, all of that, his being a scholar, all of those things are Naimiktik. They're no less important and relishable. They're wonderful. And they have to be. He came to experience them. It's not some second-class pastime. Never think that. Otherwise, why would Mahaprabhu do it? He's relishing. And within, say, the scholarly pastimes, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada gives this beautiful commentary saying that unknown to the world, hidden to the world, even while he's in the scholastic pastimes, feigning disinterest in bhakti and devotion like all of his eternal associates are engaged in, internally, he's experiencing Mahabhav. And sometimes it becomes so overwhelming for him, he manifests symptoms of fainting, of trembling, of ecstasy, which is covered up by the idea that he may have some disease of the life heirs. And they give him medicine and they're worried about him. But internally, and even his teaching of grammar, it appears externally like it may be regular teaching, but finally when he manifested his devotion, he showed that everything I'm teaching, everything actually relates to Krishna. Every verb, every noun, everything relates to Radha and Krishna. And he taught a grammar based on that, which later Jiva Goswami wrote one like that, which is still studied to this day, where everything is understood, all the conjugations and tenses and variables in any system of grammar all relate to Krishna. Amazing. And so that's what he was experiencing. But, because he's never like in Maya. And he was also relishing sweet pastimes with his devotees. They loved him so much, right? But so when he's arguing with Kolavecha Sridhar about the price of vegetables, Kolavecha Sridhar doesn't know that he's the eternal Lord, that they have a lila together in Vrindavan. But the moods of their pastime together, of their arguing back and forth, is pure love. Pure love. And finally, when he does reveal himself, Mahaprabhu tells that. And it says, you and I perform similar pastimes in Vrindavan, arguing like this. Right? He's actually a cowherd boy. What is his name? Kusuma Sarava. Anyway, I think that's another name for Madhu Mangal. I can't remember for sure. Because it also says his other name is Batu, and Batu is a name for Madhu Mangal as well. Batu Dvijaraj, right? We sing that every morning. Oh, wait, you weren't here. You didn't get to sing it this morning. Oh, yeah. We circumambulated Vrindavan this morning. You circumambulated your pillow. Oh, the horror. So do you understand Naimiktik and Nitya? It is like how, for example, the birth of Krishna in Prakat Lila is his Naimiktik Lila. And the marriage ceremonies performed in Dwarka are also his Naimiktik Lila. In Goloka Vrindavan, there is only the idea that Krishna has taken birth, or in Dwarka that he marries. Similarly, in Shvetadweep, in the eternal realm of Goloka, situated near Vrindavan, there is no sannyas lila. There is only a mood that he has taken sannyas, or that he will, or something, right? In this world, that mood takes an actual form. And thus, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes sannyas and leaves Navadvip to go to Puri. What is Puri? Now, this is interesting now, because we know Radhika, the three manifestations, right? Where when Krishna's gone to Dwarka, when they meet in Kurukshetra, when she's in separation when Krishna's in Dwarka, but in Vrindavan, and when she's with Krishna and very little separation. Vrishabhanu Nandini, Viyogini, and Samyogini Radhika. So what is Puri? It is Dwarka. How? Subhadra cannot come to Vrindavan. The sons of Vasudev, as well as Baladev of Dwarka, and also Vasudev, Krishna himself, also cannot come to Vrindavan. So it is only in Puri that Mahaprabhu plays the role of a sannyasi. Where? In Dwarka. What need does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have to go to Puri? This pastime only takes place in Prakat Lila, where that mood has taken a shape. In Aprakat Lila, there is only the mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taking sannyas and going to Puri. But here in Prakat Lila, this mood takes shape, and he really does accept sannyas and leave for Puri. From Puri, he goes to Sri Rangam in South India, and there he meets with Venkata Bhatta, Gopal Bhatta, Prabodhananda Saraswati, and others, and enacts so many pastimes. Next, he goes to Godavari Tata, the bank of the Godavari River, and there he meets Ramananda Roy. In all the pastimes that took place in Puri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was always in the mood of separation from Krishna. He was always feeling the moods of Radhika and tasting them. You should understand that this is similar to what I have explained about Krishna in Vrindavan. The Mahaprabhu of Dwarka Puri is a manifestation of Mahaprabhu in Navadvip. In other words, the Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri, right? Known different from Dwarka, because there, Lord Jagannath, he's with his brother Baladev, with Subhadra, right? In Navadvip, he was always in his Kishore Lila, or pastimes of youth, and he never takes sannyas. In Navadvip, he takes birth, plays with other boys, and always performs Sankirtan. There is no Aishvarya or reverence there at all. In Puri, on the other hand, the pastimes contain so much opulence and reverence. Not everyone can approach Mahaprabhu. They must go to Rai Ramananda and Swarup Damodar and beg permission from them. And also Govinda, right, his servant, and Damodar Pandit when he's there. Many gatekeepers, right, to Mahaprabhu. And what is Mahaprabhu doing there? He is performing a pastime of great Aishvarya. No one can act like this. Navadvip Lila is the place of his human-like pastimes, Narvat Lila. And Puri is the place of his pastimes of opulence and majesty, Aishvarya Lila. Meaning, he showed himself in a way when Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya first saw him. Nobody can experience symptoms like this, ecstasy. Only the Supreme Lord himself. The things that he did in the Godavari, being locked in by, the door's locked, they're sleeping at the door. They open, he's not there. Where did he go? How did he go? He's somewhere, they're searching up and down the beaches of Puri. They find a fisherman, maddened, that he said, I was in fishing at night and I caught a huge fish in my net, and when I pulled it up, it was this elongated form of golden man or something, like a ghost, because as soon as I touched it, I went mad. And they said, where is that ghost? He's over there on the beach. And Swarup Damodar took care of the man, slapped him, brought him out of his state of madness. And then they went to Mahaprabhu, whose joints were elongated. Each joint was elongated 18 inches. Each joint. So how was that? How could anybody exhibit that? And sometimes all his joints would be contracted into his body like a tortoise. And so many other manifestations. His dancing in the Rath Yatra parade, and the tears in his eyes streaming out like syringes or fire hoses, soaking people in every direction as he spun here and there. Impossible. Pushing the Jagannath cart with his head when elephants and horses could not do it. His madness of praying was on a different level. And also in Puri, he also has taken sannyas, and at some point, at one point he was traveling all over India on pilgrimage and meeting and preaching and infusing others with praying. When he comes back to Puri, he's not doing that in the same way. He's teaching sometimes when they come to meet him at the Rath Yatra ceremony, but mostly at that point, he's teaching by his own pastimes, by his own exhibitions and internal sentiments. He's teaching. And Swarup Damodar understands this, Ramananda Roy understands this, and they pass these deep teachings on to Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and Raghunath Das, and others who are there meeting with him. So, the Aishwarya Lila is connected also to his Yuga Avatar purpose of spreading love of God, right, by example as well. I mean, look at the state, the highest state of love of God. He's showing us in his own experience the sentiments of Srimati Radhika herself. Not really understandable, but we're being taught that we can one day grasp this if we follow in the Guru Varga coming from Mahaprabhu, and specifically Rupa Goswami, that one day, by serving Mahaprabhu, we will enter into Radha and Krishna Lila, and by serving the great devotees there, and especially if we cultivate a taste for becoming Payadasis, if Srimati Radhika comes in our heart, then the deepest truths of Radha Krishna's loving affairs will come revealed to us. Bhaktivinoda Thakur states that in the beautiful song, Dekite, Dekite, right? So he meets with Ramananda Roy, hears from him. This is his Aishwarya Lila. Is there anything to hear or learn in Navadvip? All his pastimes there are Naravat Lila. In Puri, his form sometimes becomes like that of a tortoise. And sometimes his limbs become elongated, his joints disconnected and held together only by his skin. At that time, he becomes so long. This is Aishwarya. No human being can do like this. So another reason Navadvip Lila is like Vrindavan Lila is that it is Naravat Lila. Nara means like human, right? Human-like. Therefore, Navadvip is the highest of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's dhams. And Puri, where he tastes the moods of Radhika in Gambhira, is second in importance. That's after Krishna's gone to Dwarka, Radhika's experiencing that great separation. That's what Mahaprabhu is tasting when he's in the Gambhira. Many people say he's tasting the highest sentiments of separation in the Gambhira, therefore this is the highest place. Separation is a higher mood than meeting. But no, because anything that can be tasted in Gambhira or anywhere else is also tasted in Vrindavan and in Navadvip. That's just the speciality of the Gambhira, though, of Radhika in that mood. So, Mahaprabhu's journey to South India is likened to Samyogini Radhika. Why does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu go to South India? What is the need? In Apricot Leela, in spiritual realm, he would never go there and leave Navadvip. But in Prakat Lila, he goes to South India. And he has more than just, well, let me read what Guru, sometimes I anticipate what Gurudev is going to say. I'm going to let him speak all of that. I don't want to say it in advance if he's going to say something. At that time, he likened Samyogini Radha. He is likened to Samyogini Radhika. So we should try to know all these siddhantas or conclusive truths, and then chant and remember them. You should not exercise your mental powers to endeavor to understand them. Otherwise, you will be bewildered by Maya. So try to chant more. There are so many devotees who argue about subtle points of tattva on the net prior to realization. These things can only actually be understood by realization. We can hear, we can repeat, we can aspire, but we have to be very careful to cling to the revelations delivered by our self-realized Guru Varga, right? Don't try to jump over that. So he says, whatever I am speaking is not my view. I am explaining the views of the Guru Parampara. These are rarely revealed truths. You cannot find such high truths by searching for them. But I have given you the essence of them, and have given some outline. After some time, you will forget what I have said, but maybe those who are very fortunate will not forget. Moreover, although I am explaining to you, what I am explaining to you is pure. You cannot take it in pure form or pure sense. Your material conceptions will cover your understanding. You will try to understand them with your intelligence, but please do not speculate. Try to have full faith and pray that these truths mercifully manifest in your heart. Gurudev is imploring us to approach this bhakti in the appropriate way. Don't think that just because you've heard or read so many things and you can repeat them in a scholarly way, that means that you have realization. No. If you repeat purely, that's very good for you and very good for the audience. And that will lead to realization. That will lead. Krishna and Guru become very pleased by that action, right? But it doesn't come from intelligence. What is it? Nayamatma pravachatena labhyo namedhaya na bahuna shutena. That you can't understand by scholarly approach, by hearing, even by speaking. These truths are revealed only to one who Krishna himself wants to reveal it to. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam. Right? To one who's pleasing Krishna by worshiping with deep love, dadami buddhi yogam tam, yena mamupayantate. To that person, I will give realization. Right? So that's why, and just to refer back, I remember that time I told you Srila Prabhupada yelled at me. He quoted this verse, chastised. Yelled is the wrong word, chastised. Because I said, well, other religions, so many religions, they say, well, God is omnipotent. He's in my heart. He reveals himself directly to me. I don't need an intermediary. Right? And that's the basis, really, of Christianity. That's the basis of Ritvikism, right? That our Guru, Prabhupada, is omnipotent. He can do anything. He's speaking to me in my heart. But Srila Prabhupada said, no, to this kind of person, Krishna and Guru will speak to you in the heart. Bhajatam pritipurvakam. When you've come to that level, yes, Guru's in the heart. You don't, there's not a necessity for external Guru on that level. However, interestingly enough, people on that level strive even more than we do to find the association and hear from similar kinds of persons because they get such great taste and joy in that process. So there again, this is how what we do in sadhana leads to the same practice and experience in perfection, but tasting and experiencing it with a different motive and in a different way. So the last thing he says, Try to have full faith and pray that these truths mercifully manifest in your heart. Right, pray. These are facts, and they are true. You should try to remember these very important things, and then I will continue telling them. I do not know if in 10 or 20 or hundreds of thousands of births you can realize all these things, but still I've given you an outline. That's an excerpt from a lecture, 1998, Mawillimbar, December 31st. It's in the Rays of the Harmonist, issue 5. Right. So, extraordinary. What are the last thing you say? 10, 20, or hundreds of thousands of births it may take. In the San Francisco Bay Area, we were in, what's that town? Pleasantville? I can't remember. Anyway, I lived there. I can't even remember. There was, Gurudev came. It was on Ekadashi. There was a single night. He was on his way to Badger. Came to San Francisco, one-night program. And that night, he spoke a lecture. And I think it's been titled since then, This Very Important Time. And he made that point. Because there were, there was over 100 people there. And he said, and it was those people like me, living outside, working a job, practicing a little bit, very happy when Gurudev comes, getting inspired, practicing nicely at that time. And then he goes, and then he's going to slip back into your old lifestyle. And he said, you can go on like this for hundreds of lifetimes. He said, becoming inspired, rising up a little bit, falling down, rising up, falling down. He says, you have to make the effort to come to Madhyam. You have to make the effort. Because if you don't, you'll just hover like this. And the danger is that at that state, you're very prone to aparad, right? Committing aparad and sinful activity that will result in you actually even losing the human form of life. Or committing aparad and losing your bhakti. And at that same lecture, he gave a warning. He said, don't associate with Mayavads and other people. He gave different examples. Because in their association, you will take on their qualities and you will lose their bhakti. And there was one godbrother of mine, very nice godbrother. Him and his wife, Gurudev, he would stay at their house, really nice. I mean, everybody loves him. But he had a lot of friends because, he had a job and a lot of them were like pucka, hardcore impersonalists, yogi types. And he warned him, but I guess he didn't understand or take it seriously. He wasn't actively cultivating aversion or I don't believe this, I'm going to associate with them. No, but he's associating with them. And he lost his bhakti. And when I say lost bhakti, I mean he just went, the whole 9 yards back into complete materialistic life, right? Everything, and you speak to him to this day, and he's still a really nice guy. And he has really nice memories of being a devotee, and his kids are devotees, nice kids, but he is not practicing. He married a whole bunch of times and has all kinds of, eating meat and everything, and it just doesn't occur to him. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, this is the fruit of bad association which results in aparad. And so what happens is you will lose your bhakti for some time, right? If the aparad wasn't deliberate and focused towards a pure devotee, then, you can come back. Time will heal that. Just like time, sun, and rain purifies, the dirty earth, time will purify your offense. But associating with and hearing from these kind of persons, you will lose your bhakti. Or your bhakti will never grow. Even you got the seed, it won't grow. It won't grow. That's why Srila Prabhupada set up his temples and put a fence around us, right? not just to keep others out. He didn't want to keep anybody out, let them come, but to keep us in. So we wouldn't go out and commit offense. That's why he didn't want us to associate so much with his God brothers, because we would commit offense or misunderstand. If they taught a little different than him, we might, they're not the same, and criticize them. Right? And that's why in this community we're creating a culture. Gurudev wanted IPBYS, the International Pure Bhakti Yoga Society. Right? That's what we've come. Originally they wanted to name it. They said, Gurudev, that's a little lengthy and awkward. Why don't we just name it the Bhakti Yoga Society, or International Bhakti Yoga Society? IBYs. Sounds good, right? Little an acronym. And he said, no, I want pure bhakti in there. Just like when Srila Prabhupada started ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, the young devotee said, well, why don't you just say God consciousness? It sounds too sectarian. He says, no, I want them to understand this is about Krishna, Swayam Bhagavan. Right? This is the mission of our acharyas, the topmost essence of what Mahaprabhu came to give. Right? So that's what everything that we're doing here is pointing towards that, creating that culture. Right? That's what we're looking for. So anyway, we'll stop here. I want to go too long. Let me turn this off. So all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila Gurudev, all glories to assembled devotees.